Alright, we're back working on the Ranchero, and as you can tell, this doesn't really look like a Ranchero, but if you watched the last video, you saw we pulled the engine and transmission out of the 1965 Ranchero, and we also discovered that the bottom is in really bad shape. So here's what the Ranchero looks like with the engine and transmission pulled out. So let's take a look at the inside. So here you can see how bad the floors are, and I've decided that we need to do probably just a full frame under this. So I just picked up a donor, and I'll go ahead and show you that right now. Alright, so here is the donor. It's a 2001 Chevy S-10 extended cab short bed. I believe this is the 122-inch wheelbase. I'm going to measure that here in a second, but we just needed over 109.5-inch wheelbase. And you can see it's got some Kragers on it. These probably will not be the wheels I use. I want to go probably a little bit bigger. So here you can see there's new shocks installed on here. These do have a 2-inch drop spindle already installed, upper and lower ball joints. Looks like the tie rod ends have been replaced recently. So I bought this because this work has already been done. It was something I was going to have to do if I ended up buying a donor anyway. So all I got to do is strip this down. I got to get the body off this so I can shorten the frame. So anyway, we're going to get into that in this video. I'm going to start stripping it down. So we need a donor for a frame to do air ride and an engine swap. So this is the platform that we're going to put the Ranchero on. So in this video, I'm just going to get started on stripping this down. Luckily, the previous owner was going to be trying to make a drag truck or small block install on this, but we're going to go a different route, and I'm just going to get to tearing it apart so that I can get down to the frame.
Perfect.
Alright, here we are with a little update. You saw in the time lapse, I did get this doghouse off, and you can see got the core support and the fenders right here, and then everything else I just placed in the bed. So you could see also from the earlier video that they had the inner fenders out already, which is helpful for me. So now I just need to move on to the bed, get it loose and ready to take off. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to take it off right now, but in the next day or so, I will actually be able to get that pulled off, and then we'll be down to the cab. Just a real quick update before I go in for the evening. You can see the whole front end's off, and here on the bed, I've removed all the bolts and lifted it and just to make sure everything was free. The main thing I wanted to make sure of is that when we lift this, the filler neck would be free. Did the same thing over here. Just put a 2x4 in to make sure everything's free. So we're gonna pause the video until I get some help to get this bed off. As you can see, we got the bed off, and what I did with that is I just spanned a 2x4 across the center where the wheel wells are, and then I used an engine hoist to lift it up. Me and my wife removed that last night. She doesn't like to be on camera, so we didn't film that. But we're about to try to remove the cab on our own, and we're gonna do a similar method, and I'll show you that here in just a second. But basically, putting a 2x4 across the inside of the interior, the doors will have to be open on both sides to even out the weight. But anyway, I'm gonna get that set up and show you what I made to do that. Just real quick, this will be the top side. I've got a block on that end and this end. That'll just hold it so it doesn't slip from side to side. And then on the bottom side, the engine hoist will lift in this area, and I really just wanted these on here so there wouldn't be any shifting, you know, front to back or side to side. So we're about to get this set up and see how it works. All right, so here's where we're at right now. We've got the engine hoist here in place. And you can see these blocks just to keep it from slipping. And then in here, we're just gonna start trying to lift and see what happens.
Perfect.
Well, as you can see here, we were successful in getting the cab off. We got some pictures from taking the cab off. Again, my wife is amazing, but she does not like to be on camera, and I needed her help, so I was not able to film all of that, but it's pretty obvious in the pictures, the process. So yeah, now we've got to continue stripping this, getting the fuel tank out, getting the old exhaust off. Hopefully this is an intriguing project and you might consider subscribing to follow along with the progress. If you have any questions or even some suggestions, I'd be happy to hear them. We're going to be going with an air ride setup front and rear. So we'll do a 4-link in the back and then just bags on the front. And this is my first time doing an engine swap and air ride and a body swap. So this is all new to me. If you want to see somebody struggle through it, I would invite you to follow along. Well, I was able to put a little more time into this before the next video. Here I basically just took the fuel tank and the exhaust off, and some of the extra wires and cables for the emergency brake. But here, all we have left is the brake line that goes to the rear. Don't mind the plasma cutter there, but I think the next video I'm going to start taking these body mounts off, so we might get to use the plasma cutter. And then I'm going to start trying to figure out exactly where I want to cut the frame and remove approximately 11 and a half inches, something like that. Unfortunately, I am pre-recording a lot of this, and by the time you're watching it, this work is already done. Still gotta get the brake stuff off and figure out what I'm gonna do with that, but for the time being I think I'm gonna leave the factory brake lines, but obviously we're gonna do away with the ABS, but we'll probably reuse maybe the brake booster and the master cylinder, or just the master cylinder. I don't know yet. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them in the comments. If you have any suggestions, I'd be happy to read those. But here you go. That's where we're at.